and now what we missing? 7, I'm building 7. It fell and the steel circle never fall. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Just going to do a quick moment of silence for those who lost their lives on this day. Again, this is something that lost their lives for a horrible reason. And again, just a quick moment of silence before we start tonight's show. All right, we will never forget. In fact, that is why I'm here. And again, people do forget the other building though. I can't even remember what number that was. But yeah, North Korea debuts rocket launchers that appear as civilian trucks. So straight out the gate, North Korea's latest weapon system puts a new spin on the age-old concept of camouflage. In its latest parade through Pyongyang's Kim Il-sung Square, marking its 75th anniversary of North Korea's founding, the Worker Peasant Red Guards paramilitary force unveiled a fleet of multiple rocket launchers disguised as civilian trucks. The box trucks and dump trucks had 12 tubes each, what appeared to be 122-millimeter artillery rockets deployed via their pop-up and slide door roofs. The dump truck crews even sported yellow hard hats with their rifles. You know what's really terrifying about this is with solar winds. I've talked about this for the last couple of years, how solar winds actually hacked a lot of our government infrastructure. In fact, it actually hacked into all 5 of our military branches, including the Space Force. And through that hack, at the same time, there was hacks into actual state departments, like the HR departments of infrastructure. So like, say, the water company or the electrical company would actually get hacked into their HR department, the same department that makes, new badges, puts people's employment history in, makes badges and fobs to open up doors and things like that. That was the kind of stuff that they were accessing. They also access Black Start. What freaks me out about this is, like, they literally go out and they say, hey, we've got dump trucks and regular trucks with these launchers in them. And they're even wearing hard hats. Is that like a hint? Like, look at this. Like, oh, yeah, we'll just roll down the street and then all of a sudden pop up with this. Now, I'm sure we would see these coming because they're painted quite North Korean. But is that supposed to be some sort of, like, under the breath threat? Like, we can pop up out of nowhere? It would be probably more angled towards South Korea. But again, what if one of these could sneak across and then drive into a town and then start launching? Pretty crazy. Again, otherwise, it's just more weapons that they have. One thing I think of is the recent kind of trade that they've had with Russia, and they just came out and said that Russia was hacked by North Korea, even though they're working super closely together. And it brings me even further back to when Russia said that the super EMP weapon that came from Russia that was given to North Korea was either given or stolen. Why would basically a now ally be hacking them? Maybe so they can have plausible deniability, right? So they can say, oh, well, we didn't give them the tech for that. Again, I don't think that they needed this tech. This is pretty low tech compared to some of the stuff that they have been given over the last few years. So we'll talk about this and much more on tonight's show. And of course, for anybody that did lose somebody during that horrible day, again, it's horrendous. It's why I'm sitting here right now. I wouldn't have opened up my mind if I didn't really ask questions about this day. 22 years ago? That is insane to think of. Is that really 22? Wow. So we'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
It was made of steel and it wasn't supposed to fall. Let's pull it.
All right, and you can find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document here on our website, marfooglenews.com. You'll find that you have every single source for every single, again, article, tweet, picture, video, document we're going to share here is going to be there, along with a whole lot of other stuff. Remember, you can also find the overflow there. That is all the stuff that we could not fit into a 2-hour time period. Just hit that yellow bar. We'll talk about that at the very end. But let's get right into it. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So NK has these kind of camouflage trucks. Now, too bad, this couldn't fly in the U.S. because these are such weird trucks, right? So even if they did sneak this in, people would go like, the trucks don't even look like that here. You know what I mean? They have that Asian car maker. I don't even know what these are. I wonder. It didn't say a brand on this, right? Are these just homemade?
And I don't think. Yeah, I kind of taken from the name of this group being that it's the Workers' Peasant Guard. I'm assuming it's equivalent of like a National Guard. Like their job is to stay back and defend the homeland, or to deal with anything along their borders. So I think that this is just a disguise. There's a couple other pictures, one with tractors, like farm tractors pulling missile launchers. And then they also have a white truck, which looks more like a box truck and less like a dump truck. The red ones are supposed to look like their traditional dump trucks. And the white one looks like their traditional box trucks. And then the roof slides back and the missile launcher pops out the top. So, this is definitely for their, location. I don't think that they're just going to pop these trucks off in another country and people are going to be like, oh, wow, that doesn't look suspicious.
Well, and one more thing is like we don't know if these are even real. These could totally be made in the local high school shop because, I'm sure that they're like, today we're going to be making fake missiles, if you don't get an A, you're going to die, something like that. I don't know. I'm sure it's pretty much like that. But if you look, it just doesn't, it looks chintzy. Like they cut the metal of the roof. Like it's not, it does not look well done. But who knows if it needs to be well done? Maybe even something like this. Like you could totally tell that something's wrong with this. So these things would stick out like a sore thumb, I think. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And, of course, we have a lot of great people here. Make sure to also go over and check out marfooglenews.com/friends. And make sure to subscribe to all of our mods. They all have great stuff. Go check out Chance's new book. And of course, the cover art by the new recycled book actually has the Gem piece of artwork on there. So go check that out, or you can follow me on Twitter and find the links there as well. Thank you, Bible Talk 777. This day 22 years ago was when the world changed that I knew. #betrayed. So I wouldn't be sitting here right now unless one of AJ's like grassroots people handed me a DVD of, I think it was like Loose Change or something. If not like Loose Change, but the movie, or it was several. It was actually like 2 or 3 documentaries that were actually homemade burnt discs back when everybody was burning discs. In fact, I remember it was like back when burning discs was something that not everybody had. Like towards the end of burning discs, everybody had them. They were super cheap. But at first, they were super expensive. If you wanted to burn a DVD, it also had to be like the smaller ones, and it was a painstaking process, and it took forever. But then, as time got on, it got better. But I remember like thinking, wow, I think the only reason I watched it is because I was thinking, man, somebody took time to do this. Like, and I've never put a burnt DVD. And I remember thinking like, I've never put a burnt DVD into a regular DVD player. And the only reason I pushed play is because I was curious if this older DVD player that I had at the house I was a roommate in, I was like, I wonder if it'll even work in this thing. And I pushed play, considering it, because I was thinking about all that, and it played, and it went through, and I sat there, and my roommates came in, and everybody was sitting behind me on the couch. It was like I was by myself, and then all of a sudden one roommate would sit there. I lived with 6 dudes when I was right out of high school, and like one dude sitting there, and then all of a sudden I realized that like 7 people were behind me, including girlfriends and stuff, and they're all sitting there just like and just crazy shocked. And then we're all talking about it. We're like, no way, because there were things in that just absolutely it's because the timeline, it's like everything that came out about that day was then changed and altered. There's a reason why nobody let it go. There was a reason why they had this whole whatever, what did they call that, Dex? Do you remember the hearing that they did on it, the investigation thing? Just so many of the things.
Yeah, the commission.
The commission
with the 3 numbers in front of it.
Yep. And the commission. There was a reason for that. People ask questions. I don't think they realize that people would ask questions like, how are all of the passports found? Like, how did these things happen? Like, out of everything, you can't find a piece bigger than a bread box of the actual thing, but you can find all of the passports. Like, people just didn't get it. And then the whole 7 thing, it's like, it says, never forget, but then people forget that 3rd one all the time. But yeah, I don't think I would be sitting here because then that got me, it just got me in depth. And I remember it's just years, because that was such a crazy day. I remember, and I know everybody remembers, that morning I saw the second one hit. After the first one hit, one of my aunt's friends called me, because when I was 11, I went to live with my aunt, and I lost my parents pretty early, actually. But I remember I was at my aunt's, her friend called and said that somebody attacked the building. And I turned on the TV, and the first thing I see within 2 minutes, and I don't even go up and wake up my aunt and uncle, in the first 2 minutes, I remember the teleprompter, the woman saying, swearing. The second one hit, and I remember you know what? Maybe I yelled up, and my uncle even says to this day, he didn't believe me, and he just went back to sleep. That was after the first one. Then I went back down, watched the TV, and I remember the second one hitting, and the woman on TV, on regular TV, was saying the F-bomb, dropping it left and right, saying, oh, my F and this. And I'm sure some of you probably saw that same broadcast where she was swearing. And that's when I was like, whoa, what is this? Because, on normal Q13 or whatever news, they don't sit there and swear. They're supposed to be super professional. So when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh. Went back up, and I said the second building was hit. That's when my uncle said that he was like, okay, got downstairs, and everybody jumped down. I remember that whole day. I did go to school that day. We all sat in our in the drama room, and they fit almost everybody in there, and we're all sitting on the floor, and we literally had one of those rollout carts with an old school like CRD TV. It was something out of a movie. Like, we're all sitting around this tiny 20-inch TV, watching all of the clips that they kept playing, and then the Pentagon and all of this. And I believe we even they almost sent us home. Like, they did a fire drill or something that day. It was such a weird day, and everybody remembers that. You know exactly where you were when that happened, and this day, I guess it means a lot to me because I know that it means a lot to a lot of you because you lost people. And then as the years went on, this new generation has no idea. This is what I want to point out about what mainstream media is. So when people have given me crap and they say, you cover mainstream media, heck yeah, we do. Because guess what? That mainstream media in 20 years is going to be considered fact. And if some 16-year-old kid is writing an essay and goes back 20 years and looks at archival footage and just sees the mainstream media, they will literally write their paper on how it went down. Now, we know that the mainstream media does not portray stuff how it is. It puts a spin on it. It puts its bias on it. It does not show you the events like they should be. Now, remember, if the mainstream is the only thing that is in those archives, then that is history. That is literally what history they will learn. If there is nobody questioning, if there is nothing with the exact same article or the exact same piece of mainstream media without something that somebody there attaching to that article, hey, here's a question. Is this real? Did this happen like this? Then in 20 years from now, nobody will have anyone questioning what happened in this history. Now, fast forward, look at this event. If kids look back at this, the new generation has no idea what happened then. They didn't live through it. There's kids that are now old enough to buy beer. Yeah, there's people that are old enough to buy beer, but they weren't even born yet for that event. And I think it's a farce because they don't realize why the Patriot Act came in. All of the stuff before then, like how we lived before that, before a lot of the draconian stuff came in, and it was all for our safety. They don't remember the 10 years after of the constant around the world kind of things that were going on in France and over here, and that the year after year of just like you're waiting for the next T attack to happen somewhere. And then later on, you find out that all of these things, all these people that are attacking and things, they have serious connections with all of the three-letter agencies. And it's like, this is why people need to know. And, you know, you could say do research, but what are they going to do? They're going to go online and they're going to find a bunch of the washed stuff, and everything that's true about it might have been deleted or put in the far corners of the internet, and you're not going to be able to find the truth. So doing research is BS now, because if you do research, what most people mean, they mean Google it or go to Yahoo and type it in, right? Or DuckDuckGo. But what you're going to get is these pre-filtered results for the first 10 pages. And I think that's disturbing. So again, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Dex, do you remember where you were when that happened?
Yes, I had just left for work and heard on the radio and turned around and went home. I had probably under a 1-year-old at the time at the house, and I went home and sat in front of the TV with my child in my lap and watched in horror.
Yeah. Did you go back home after that, or did you stay at work?
No. I didn't make it to work. I heard on the radio on my way to work, and I turned immediately around and went home. And then sat at home the rest of the day and watched it on TV.
Wow, it's just, yeah, it was so crazy. I'm actually surprised looking back that they actually kept us at school the entire day. But it was. Oh, and then I remember there were classmates. We had specifically there was actually a group of kids there that were like from New York. And they were part of a program with, it was like a Jewish, I can't remember what the word for it was called, but there was like 11 kids that were from New York that were kind of, they weren't foreign exchange students because they were from here, but they were doing some sort of study thing and doing some project here with one of the school teachers. And I remember that two of them at least had direct family in the tower that day. And I remember that the cell phones were not working in New York. Like the cell phones and the regular phones were like out in a lot of the places because they were so overwhelmed. And they tried calling like the emergency number, and it was completely, it was either busy or it was just not possible to call it. I remember that feeling for that person that their dad or their mom is like probably gone after it went down. which, by the way, they all went down in their own footprint. It was just unbelievable, literally unbelievable. But Dex, again, it's just such a horrendous time in history, and it changed everything. Truth Iris, what is going on? The people who, instead of burning, that was so nuts. The jumping man, that, but again, now on Twitter, if you go there today, you will see a bunch of videos of no flying thing in the air, none of that. I don't know about that, but I do know about the farces of information that was told to people and the connections that are left out in the history books, all of the things that are left out. I know about that. I don't know, which, by the way, they could have strapped something on it, whatever else, or they could have done that. There's a couple things on the internet, but just as much as you see that video without it, somebody could have faked that too. So I don't trust video anymore, period. Either way, what we do know, though, is how they went foosh, foosh, and foosh. And there's just steel reinforced. It just, you guys know. So go down that rabbit hole if you haven't, and go down through the right person, and you will find everything out. Or watch the pre-mentioned things. By the way, back then, nobody questioned AJ. I always, everybody now has said this, but I'm telling you, though, back in the day, there were so many people that were permanently kind of, you couldn't press snooze anymore because of those DVDs and because of that movement. All right. And then, Dex, do you want to cover the North Korea has powerful arsenal of weapons and ammo that Russia desperately wants as it eats through its own stockpile?
Yeah. So, it's what's interesting, and we've talked about this notion that they may be meeting, and we'll talk a little bit later about what's actually happening with Kim, but specifically why it's so important. This is what's some of the crazy things that a lot of people haven't really paid much attention to, but there's something like, I think it was in 2020, the Rand Corp did an assessment, and they said that NK had 6,000 artillery systems within the range of SK. And they probably had even more in their reserves and held in storage. And they obviously have the munitions for all that. And that's what's very much needed. These shells are very much needed in the UKR conflict from Russia's point of view. They have so many that they actually estimated that the artillery systems, when they're deployed, could actually take out more than 10,000 people in the first hour, which is pretty significant. And it would be so fast that it would be hard for them to respond to it. So obviously NK, in addition to 5,500 rocket artillery systems, 4,000 tanks, and 2,500 armored vehicles, that's just what they publicly know about. That there's no telling how much they have in storage. But obviously NK has been packing and developing and building and storing a huge arsenal of munitions and weapons. So this becomes a very valuable asset to somebody like Russia. And obviously it's a very valuable asset to NK because, as we've talked, they would love to trade this for more information that they can use, whether that be technology for nuclear subs, which was what we last talked about, whether that be technology for nukes themselves, or other things that Russia can provide to them in exchange for them selling these munitions. Now, it's very risky for them to sell it because they're under sanctions. They're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to ship anything out under, I think it's UN sanctions that are against them for this. So, but nonetheless, it's very likely that it will happen, especially given the relationship that's going. And it's very likely that they have a huge stockpile, just given some of the numbers and some of the things that they were going over. And that's why it makes the NK relationship so valuable potentially to Russia.
Yeah, especially with the largest stockpile in the world. They said that it's bigger than ours, and of certain things, obviously. But that's why when they all team up, if we had a world conflict, when you have all of our enemies and all of the different stuff, it becomes quite a battle. Jerry Schertz says, my friend worked on the Larry Silverstein's yacht when it happened, and he was in France. His boat was named NY Lady, and also Ben Mr. Layden family, was also on a yacht in France that day. I also met that captain. Jerry Shirts, if that's true, that is so absolutely disturbing. The whole people did for years. They went down down that road, and it's just absolutely shocking. It's absolutely nuts how many weird things, and it's just like recent events that just happened. Recent events that, this beach looked a whole lot like a very famous beach that a lot of tourists travel to. It's like when there's that many questions and that many kind of, oh, that's weird, usually there's something that's weird. It's been that way for years. And what regular people have to wrap their heads around is that these kind of things happen all the time. And if you are running a planet, there are negative things. And I'm telling you, and I don't say this, but I guarantee you, this is how they think. There's going to be sacrifices, or there's going to be collateral damage, but we have to do this for the better of people because they're not going to make the hard decisions for themselves. I'm not saying that I believe this. I'm saying this is what they think. They think like, they're not going to make the hard decisions. We've got to do this. They think they're heroes and that they're making these tough decisions, but they're never the ones that are affected. It's kind of like if if the kid was to decide Sophie's Choice or something, it's not going to happen, right? It's disturbing that we are thought of as like we're too stupid to be on the planet, right? That they believe that we just don't know what we're doing, and that they are doing what's in our best interest, and that sometimes means that I guess it's actually to the means of anything. They will literally go to any level to further some sort of goal, right? And that goal may run over us. It's kind of like if you're going to make a freeway and there's an anthill, what are you going to do? Are you going to go around the anthill, or are you going to crush the anthill? I believe the anthill is literally all of us across the planet that are not up at the very top. We are all just ants that they stomp on to get to their goals. And many people are starting to realize that. More and more people are waking up that it's not a this side versus this side. It's more of like this side versus this bottom versus that top. And once we realize that, once we bring these together and look up, then we're not going to get anywhere. And that's on purpose. That's Genghis Khan style, sow division before you take over somewhere. So what do you guys think? Let me know. Nana MT, thank you everyone for the prayers and condolences. Love you all. Calling it a night. Thank you, Adam, Dex, and Mods, for caring and sharing. Nana MT, I hope you stayed long enough for me to say hi and thank you. And again, we have such a great community here that, again, it's really awesome. I know there are people over the last few nights. Everybody worries if you don't pop in. So thank you, Nana MT. I appreciate that. Julie Pilkerton, thank you. Carol, thank you so much for the super chat. And then Renee Alera, thank you for massive support of the channel. Thank you for supporting Independent. And again, Renee, thank you for stopping by. Let's see here. Kay Parker Fraser says, get it, Marf. And I missed that one. And then Juby Joe, thank you for your support this week. And I appreciate that. Thank you guys for supporting our independent channel here. And thank you more so, though, everybody that's sharing the show out with somebody that they know, somebody that's bringing in somebody. We have to basically get more in the door than are getting pulled out by the forces that be. Because it's literally, they clean house now like every 2 weeks. It's crazy. If you don't watch my show for a couple days, it's like unsubbed. So make sure to click that bell icon and make sure that you are subscribed. Even if I'm showing up in your homepage, make sure to click that all notifications bell and make sure you are still subscribed right now. All right. And then Kim Jong Un reportedly hops on his bulletproof drab green train for meeting with Putin. I'm telling you, there is something in the works here. I believe in the next year, again, that things are going to look completely different. I think that there are certain people in our circle that have said it's going to look completely like something else, and I believe they are right. I don't know if they're setting up for a Fantastic Freddy or something, but when these two meet, there's definitely something going on that's not supposed to be happening or is happening because of horrible things that are not supposed to be happening. It says a luxury armored train believed to be carrying Kim Jong-un appeared to depart Pyongyang Monday for Vladivostok, Russia, where the reclusive North Korea leader may rendezvous with President Vladimir Putin. South Korea state media reported that the train Kim uses, bulletproof but notoriously slow, possibly because of its heavy weight, left NK. The Kremlin confirmed in a statement that he will visit Russia in the coming days. The White House previously said that they were expecting a meeting between the two leaders this month as Moscow looks to its former ally from Soviet Union times to help rearm for its war in UKR. The meeting could take place as early as Tuesday. It could be Kim's first overseas trip in more than 4 years. So this is a picture of what this train somewhat looks like. You can see the door there is like 2-inch straight thick steel, bulletproof glass and everything else. So pretty crazy system there. But main thing I would point out is if you have Kim Jong and Putin meeting, however they're going to frame this, whatever else, there's going to be things that are going to most likely move forward. If that's just trading, I don't know. Dex, go ahead.
That train moves really slow too because of the weight, or unless they've got a lot of weight they're pulling with it. But yeah, it only goes like 37 miles per hour max. So that's a long ride. I don't know how far he's going.
Well, you would think even if it's got that, if he's so paranoid and if they know he's on that train, maybe I was thinking, how they always do like a duplicate thing, so you don't know which, or like the second Air Force One, they always put two up in there as like one as a decoy, right? With this, they could take him out if they hit that train, and even if it is bulletproof, that's not going to stop it. If you hit it with a couple of Uncle Busters, Uncle Busters, and get your tickets and your coins now. But if you hit it with a bunker buster, I'm sure that it will go right through that 2-inch steel or 5-inch steel, whatever it is. They're made to go into bunkers. One thing I don't get is if they really did want to take him out right there. If he's on a train, heck, if that train goes over a bridge, knock out the bridge. Doesn't matter how tough the train is. If that train falls into the water, it's goners. So yeah, if they really wanted to take out Kim, I'm sure they could. But they keep saying that Kim, travels by night. So they say that about Putin now too, that he travels by night. He never, shows himself during, unless it's completely checked out and whatever else. That they say he's so paranoid. I'm surprised he's going to get on a train, and I'm surprised that they won't. Why wouldn't they take a plane? Dex, is there a reason? Is it because they're going cross border and they're going to be going over? Like, how does that work? Why?
I think it's just more safety on his part. I think he doesn't want to fly because it's probably easier to be taken out in the sky than on the ground. He can leave his country and go into, if he goes through China into Russia, or if he goes through, it can get directly into Russia. It's a long distance because he's coming in from Siberia side. But depending on how far he's going to go to meet. But, being on the land in say, motherland Russia, it's a lot harder for a saboteur to get into that country to then do something on the land. But in the sky, it's pretty easy. A fast jet could come in and take something, or a satellite space-based system could take out something. And, so I think that he looks at the train as safety.
Well, if they did want to take him out, there's 20 bulletproof cars, but I don't care if they're bulletproof. We have Moabs and Foabs that could just wipe that thing off the planet Earth. So if they really wanted to take them out, they could. But that's why I think, some of these times I think that there's probably illegal stuff going on in NK, and probably some of our 3-letter agencies and 3-letter agencies around the world probably use that place to do shady stuff. If you think about it, there's no oversight for what goes on in North Korea. None whatsoever. That would be pretty handy to world governments and dark ops and things like that, black ops. And by the way, they wouldn't work with them because they're evil. Look at our 3-letter agencies and the cartels and all sorts of things. We have literally armed the bad guys. Heck, you look at the event that happened 22 years today. The gentleman who supposedly put it together shook hands with our president. I mean, come on. And then Russia launches overnight drone attack on Kiev. So, by the way, Redacted did a video with a reporter at what's it called? In one of these places, but it just reminded me of that reporter. I think the reporter was in, I think, Russia, but there was an event quite recently where the news totally made a mistake. And they ended up reporting it as Russia firing on UKR, but it was really UKR firing on Russia. But it says that Russia launched an air attack on Kiev early on Sunday with blasts ringing out across the UKR capital and its region for almost 2 hours and drone debris falling on several of the city's central districts, officials said. The scale of the attack was not immediately known. Reuters witnesses heard at least 5 blasts across Kiev, and UKR media footage showed a number of cars damaged. Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said that one person was injured in the historic Podil neighborhood, and a fire broke out near one of the city's parks. Debris from downed drones fell on the Darnitsky, Solomansky, Shavivinsky, Sieviadantashinsky, and Podil districts, and Klitschko's city military administration said. In the Shevchentsevsky district, drone debris sparked a fire in an apartment, which quickly extinguished. It might have been a kitchen fire. Or maybe it was a strike of lightning. Who knows? Same thing, right? There were no immediate reports of injuries, Serhiy Popko, head of Kiev's military administration, said on Telegram messaging app. So they said there were no reports of injuries. Pretty shocking. There were no immediate comment from Russia about the attacks. Moscow has been conducting near nightly assaults on UKR's territory. It sounds like war. A Russian attack took the life of 17 on Wednesday in the eastern city. So here's the thing. I'm telling you, Dex, is this outdated? Didn't we find out that thing that took out 17 people, wasn't that in Russia and not in UKR? Or is it confused because it's UKR but it's currently held by Russia? That's what I want to know. If Dex, I don't think I sent you that. There was a report done, and apparently they said that they got that wrong, but I don't know. It could
be possible because it's in the Donetsk Oblast and it's close to Kolovnica. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's the city. And that's in that territory that was that whole area was Russian controlled. So I don't know if it still is, if that's one of the areas that they got back or not, but yeah, I think it sounds very much like what you're describing.
I think the debate, because they have video angles all over the place, the debate is that if it was Russia that fired them or UKR. And the general consensus in the community is that was actually UKR fired stuff that hit inside UKR, but it was Russia controlled, but those were civilians or something like that. I don't know though. Again, I just saw a quick clip on Twitter that somebody cut from that show. And let's see here. And yeah, it looked like a great job covering it, but I don't know what ended up coming out of that. I also do know that they make mistakes and then they try to cover up their mistakes. But, that's just how it goes. Tyler, thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you for support. And thank you guys over on DLive. I'm going to hop over to you guys in just a second. Before we go anywhere, make sure to go check out EMP Shield, one of the things that we have talked about for years now, and one of the things that is one of the most realistic and least crazy out of all of the scenarios that could happen is an EMP or a CME. In fact, a CME or a Carrington level event is going to happen. It's a matter of when, not if. When a Carrington level event of the right strength hits, which it has in regular intervals all throughout history, then if it happens now before our grid is hardened, then it could literally knock out our entire grid. They say that kind of scenario would see 90% of Americans perish. And that would not be due to everybody taking each other out. That would be because water infrastructure would be going down. And of course, without water, people start perishing very, very fast. We saw that, of course, with Hurricane Katrina. So if you want to protect your vehicles, and again, if an EMP or a CME or a Carrington level event hits, all of a sudden, your car's not going to work. Your phone's not going to work. Your power's going to be off. Everything's going to be off, including your vehicle. So you will not be able to drive a foot, depending on, again, if you have newer cars, which is all digital, then you want to put one of these on it. It's a easy add. You just wire in the black to black on your battery, red to red on your battery, and then, of course, green to a part of your frame. So red to red, black to black, and green to ground takes less than 10 minutes, and then your vehicle will be able to get home to bug in or get out to bug out. So it's one of those things that you won't need until you need, and if you need it, if you ever need it, it's going to save your life. So make sure to go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/EMP. EMP Shield is the same company that is not only in the EMP resilience report by the DHS, but they've now outfitted agencies, DHS, and agencies like DOD, and now they are on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. So you can look all you want at all of the kind of things that they have done so far, and I'm sure you'll find the Keystone military tests are awesome. So make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You'll get $50 off per device, and you'll be helping our channel. This is an independently veteran-owned company that has been making these by hand, again, since we started with them. We started with them before all of their huge government contracts and things. Now, at one point, we even didn't know if they were going to continue selling to regular civilians. That's how big they got. But the founders and the owners are all part of the community. They're all preppers, and they're awesome people. Anybody that's talked to Andrew or any of their other staff knows that. So just go check them out. They are awesome. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You're supporting the show at the same time as getting a giant discount per device. All right, and then Dex, do you want to talk about Russians open fire on UKR flag tied to balloons, revealing their position?
Yeah, this is kind of one of those, it's almost too good to be true scenarios. But what they said happened, this was on Sunday, the UKR had launched this, or in celebration, some people had launched this balloon to commemorate the 245th anniversary of the city's founding. They tied a whole bunch of helium balloons to a giant flag and then let it float up in the sky. Well, then it eventually flew over an occupied area in Donetsk city, a Russian occupied area, to which the Russian soldiers proceeded to try to take it down with their bang bangs. And then in doing so revealed their position, which then UKR turned around and went after them as quickly as possible, since they gave up their position by firing up at this flag that was floating in the sky. So whether it was done by design or just happenstance and coincidence, or this is just legend coming out of conflict, any of those three, it is it's interesting just to think about like that scenario going down. It's kind of in some ways it's comical, in some ways it's potentially smart, and on other ways that may have just been foolish on all sides and it just worked out in someone's favor.
Yeah, and I half believe any of the kind of stories like this, because it's like on some of the slower days they'll just it seems like they just make up stuff like this for filler news, because they don't have any actual news.
Yeah, and there's a picture of the balloon, or the balloons carrying the flag. I don't know if you got that.
No, it didn't process in the thing.
It should have been right under the headline. Sorry.
That's okay. I'll show the original. That's that almost looks like you can almost see Pelosi holding it. Let's see here. So it's like a line of balloons. Huh. And Zelensky admitted that UKR waited too long to begin its counteroffensive, giving Russia plenty of time to riddle the land with mines. So, depending on how you look at this, like there's been a lot of our community, and I mean it because it's really like a lot of folks that are just not believing every single thing that comes out of mainstream, believe that UKR is not doing that well. And they've tried to make it sound like that for obvious reasons. The U.S. and other countries are putting tons of tax dollars into this country and into this conflict. So if you know that a ton of money from our taxes is going into the thing, then you kind of want it to be a successful thing. You definitely don't want to support a lost cause, and you don't want, they said at one point before several $1 billion went out on top of what they did, it was like $11,000 per American citizen would, part of their taxes would go towards this thing, or that's how much it equaled, right? It was so much money. So there's motivation here not to show you that, hey, they're not doing too well and Russia is totally, killing it. There's also this patriotic thing, which is so crazy because the same people that'll be like, well, you don't, what do you mean? You think America sucks, or are you trying to support Putin? But the same people that say that are the same people that are, trying to take our bang bangs away, to all this stuff. And it's like the same people say that patriots are, aren't friendly to certain types of people and things like that. The R word, that they're all basically anybody on the right is a racist and all of that. It's like I'm so crazy. By the way, I just posted that video earlier, and I posted on Twitter that kid basically saying, oh yeah, I just moved from the suburbs, from San Francisco to the suburbs, and I don't feel safe here because there's American flags all over the place. The fact that our youth feel unsafe when they see American flags is absolutely due to media. In fact, somebody commented on my Twitter just recently, just like an hour or two before the show, and they said, well, have you ever put yourself in their shoes and seen their fears? All the people that called it the insurrectionists, all of them, the news has shown us all of the trucks and all of the people doing that, they were all holding American flags. So, and somebody else said that, I know people that substituted the Confederate flag for an American flag. And I'm like saying, I replied and I said, that's kind of like saying that, an NAZI basically took a swastika and now substitute it for a peace sign. That doesn't change the meaning of the peace sign, which again, people say, oh, the peace sign means this. But my point is, they could substitute anything for a blue shirt. Does that mean that blue shirts are now bad? No. It means that this person is using that, but that doesn't take away from the rest of us what that means, what the American flag means. I told these people to ask a vet what the flag meant to them. But the programming and the conditioning, and especially since the J thing that happened, is absolutely stupid. The fact that the American flag now is just publicly, it's like, oh, gross. Everybody is basically crapping on it. And those same people will be like, oh, well, what are you, a Putin fan? No, I'm a truth fan. And I'm also a fan of like knowing what the hell is actually happening with our tax dollars and what is happening in this conflict. Because we are all going to have skin in the game here really quick if things go wrong. Either way, if UKR loses or if UKR wins. If UKR wins and puts Vlad in a corner, that's not good either. This is a nuclear power. If Vlad wins, then there's a chance that it could be true that he takes the Baltic states, and that's a WW3 scenario. So it's like either way, it's like there's stuff like this that comes out, and it's like, oh yeah, it took us too long. Everybody sees right through the BS. Like this is a circus. It's an absolute circus, and we don't even know what the counteroffensive was. Truly. The Russians are dug into their country. They have the home field advantage. They had already dug in defenses, and this is one of the first countries ever that actually connected their satellite systems decades ago to their defensive systems, so they can see an image on the battlefield and then hit it with artillery from hundreds of miles away, or for missiles from hundreds of miles away. So it's like, if you're trying to go into their country, it's going to be a lot harder than them coming into yours. I think the numbers are super skewed, and I think that UKR is not doing well. And just by saying that, people say, "Oh, you're carrying what's-his-face's water." No, I just don't think that the media is telling us the full truth. That's all. And I think that if they have hand-me-down stuff compared to the advanced stuff that now Russia is finally using, which again, Russia was using all of its like literal garbage weapons, people off the street. They just, "Hey, Todd, go in there and fight." Or I guess it would be like, "Hey, Vlad, go in there and fight." Todd and Vlad, hey, go in there and fight. And Todd's like, "I'm 80. And they're like, "We don't care." Or, "We don't care. Get in there. Take a shot of vodka first." Now they're saying that it gave them plenty of time to riddle the land with mines. Well, they don't even really need mines if you see what they can do with their satellite systems and everything else. Same if somebody tried to come in the U.S., we would be able to hit them from 1,000 miles away. Dex, do you want to cover NATO in 2024 to conduct biggest military exercise since the Cold War in Germany, Poland, and the Baltics?
Yeah, this one's kind of interesting. So, we cover all of the drills that have been going on, and lots of them have happened in Europe, and lots of them have happened along the border, especially even in the Baltic area, where even recently, I think we were talking about the ones that were up there near Estonia, that were reported a few days back, that started a few days back. They were very small. This one's huge. This is 41,000 military personnel. This is 500 to 700 air combat missions and 50 ships. That doesn't sound like a drill. That sounds like a D-Day to me. And I say that because they're now saying that this is going to actually take place in Germany, Poland, and the Baltic states, which is right there. This is all right there at the hot spot of the border with UKR and the borders with Russia. But they're saying this is going to start sometime in February and March next year. Interesting timing. That is typically right after the coldest parts. That is right in the beginning of spring, so to speak, even though it may technically not be spring yet. But that is when conflict could kick off, and it would be the best and the earliest time to start, because you're moving into the proper seasons to actually be able to pull something off and not get stuck in frozen mud, frozen ice, things like that, which are really bad in the harshest part of the winter. So again, could just be a drill, but it also could be a date. And those numbers are pretty staggering. 500 to 700 air combat missions and 41,000 military personnel. That's huge.
On top of what's already there and stationed there, because NATO changed their rules to where they now have NATO in their countries before anything happens. Whereas it used to be, say, Finland or something, or Poland. Say, Poland's a great example. Poland, if, say, Russia one day decided to just cross their border and go in there with tanks, Poland would be expected to hold them off. They would do Article 5, and they would say, "Hey, get in here and get reinforcements in." They changed their rules so they would have a permanent force in all of these different places to basically be ready for it at all times. And they said that's because of the heightened tensions and everything that's going on right now. They already have dragon's teeth for tanks. They already have trenches dug in Romania, which Romania is now the one that just did Article 4 to basically talk about, oh, this drone stuff fell in our land and we want to talk about Article 5 type of thing. We need help from NATO. These things are happening in order. They're sequential, just these little tiny steps forward. We're already at war. And in 20 years from now, they will look back and say it started, last year or whatever. Or they'll say it started before that with all of the moves. We can't see it because we're in it. And again, they didn't know, like I've said, on WW2, it wasn't actually called by some of the biggest people in it, like the U.S. They didn't even say World War II until like 1945, the very end of it. So the thing is now, if you think about it, what is a world war? Well, world war is where you've got all of these countries involved. Well, what's happening right now? You've got not only BRICS trying to create this new currency, which they're trying to create this new system, and they're trying to step away from the U.S. dollar. Anytime that's happened, there's been war. And this is the biggest threat to the U.S. dollar that's ever happened in our lifetimes. And it's not like Gaddafi or any of these people like, oh, we want to sell oil and we want to do it for gold and we want it gold backed. No, this is huge. This is a direct threat to the current hegemony. And we might have people inside that are purposely like lighting stuff on fire in the first place, trying to help it happen. But at the same time, this with NATO, with everything that's happening right now, look at the world. The world is literally picking sides. You've got BRICS, which is essentially all of our adversaries. I mean, you've got India in there, but India's been training with Russia. India is the ally of Russia, and India has actually been working alongside. They have had their Navy ships right next to Chinese Navy ships, which if you know the history of those two countries, that doesn't make any sense. Even if they're saying, well, we're here for Russia. We got to deal with their friend. We don't like their friend, but we like Russia, so we're going to do the drills here. They're doing military drills together. They have the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, where they're directly financially tied with India and China. The reason why this matters, India and China getting along could literally make or break BRICS. They say that BRICS will not work without India and China getting along. Why don't China and India get along? Well, the border dispute, the piece of land, all of that land with the Himalayas where they both say, oh, our line goes here. And then, of course, India says, well, our line goes here. And they overlap like a MasterCard symbol, right? But what if China says, hey, you're going to get a spot at the table. You're going to be number 2 in the world or number 3 in the world, right underneath us, and you're going to get that land if you back us in this future conflict. Or if you don't, you're going to be on the losing side. You know something we don't, and we're all going to go at this. People can't wrap their head around the U.S. possibly losing or U.S. NATO losing. But people have said the only way that U.S. could lose, not only China has said this in their war games, U.S. has said this in the war games, our Pentagon has said, the only way we would possibly lose is in a 2-front war with 2 major superpowers, Russia and China. And that's literally looking like what's about to happen. Even if it doesn't, our world's going to change dramatically no matter what. If you look at what they're doing with the petrodollar and everything else, this is all coming. So if you're new here, please, I hope that you end up following more, and I hope that you end up watching more shows and talking to more of the community, because the community is a breadth of information. There are so many people here that have great info, like actual info that you can gather and research that you can do. Not research like watch a couple YouTube videos, actually doing deep dives and going into white papers and documents from DODs and Japanese DOD and Ministry of Defense of Russia. You can go into this stuff and you'll see everything is lining up right now. We have so many military members in this audience right now, and I would say that 90% of them are absolutely saying that we are not only going to war, but we are already in it. And people don't like that. They push back on it. They do not want you to say that we're at war. I think it's a fear, anger response. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Tell me why we're not at war. Tell me how this isn't a war. And if it isn't war, either way, look at what's going on with inflation. With our people can't even survive right now. And then the incredible moment, White House staff abruptly end President JB's rambling Vietnam press conference mid-sentence and cut his mic. Dex, I'll let you cover this one. It was bad. It was real bad.
Yeah, if you guys ever, I just, in my mind, I can't envision like sitting U.S. president and not having the control of his own conversation or what he wants to do. But yeah, this was kind of nuts the way this went down. So he's talking, he's like literally mid-flow, and they kick on like jazz music, and they're ushering him off stage as if it was, he went too long at the awards ceremony. He was literally in the middle of answering a question. Jean Pierre comes out and starts yelling, "Thank you, everybody. This is over." He continues to talk. He's talking on a mic that they've already turned off, and there's jazz music playing over, and he's just sitting there trying to talk and try to answer questions, and he's rambling. I'm sure, no telling what he's saying. I mean, they do quote a little bit about what he says, nothing really crazy, but at the same time, it's just there's two parts to this. One, how does he not know that this is going on? He just sits there and acts like nothing's happening, and he keeps talking to a dead mic, and all this music is playing, and she's screaming, telling everybody to get out. And then two, he has no control. Like he's absolutely run by other people, and it's kind of crazy when you look at this. And this is in another country. This is in Vietnam. Like we're supposed to be looking at our best. And
you see the quote there, right? It says, you know that saying third world is not PC now. And the part of the thing before he got cut off is he says, "We talked about stability. We talked about the third world. Excuse me, the southern hemisphere has access to change. It wasn't confrontational at all." Which makes absolutely no sense. So then he corrects the third world with the southern hemisphere. Oh, man. And then Kareem Pierre says, "Thank you, everybody." Yeah. And then jazz music plays over as he just keeps going. Even if you are a supporter, by the way, totally welcome here. Many people are realizing that, I think it's common sense that obviously whoever's sitting in that spot isn't really controlling everything. Even T-Man, the reason why T-Man says he couldn't get anything done is because the people around him shut everything down. The reason why T-Man did an executive order for almost everything from his own mouth is because they literally would not work with him on anything. He tried to do a lot of the stuff. In fact, there were some campaign promises that he tried to do, and I watched and I covered as he would try to do this thing that he talked about, and then boom, they would shut him down at one step of the process. That's why he did an executive order for everything. And who knows, though, he probably was beholden to very rich elites as well on a different side of things. I think people kind of preferred the rich people that he was working for rather than the rich people that JB is working for. Because the people that JB is working for or working with, they want to change this world completely. They want to flip it inside out. And not a lot of us really are ready for change. And maybe in their heads they think, oh, they won't do it because they don't want to change. It's a tough change, but we all got to do it. Maybe they think that because we just can't do it. Dex, go ahead.
Well, get this. Not only did they turn the music on, as he kept talking, they kept making it louder and louder to try to get him to shush. And then, I don't know if everybody heard this one, though, but they also said that earlier in a press conference, it was in Hanoi over in Vietnam, that he tried, or they said he risked upsetting his Vietnamese host with quotes from the Robin Williams movie, Good Morning Vietnam, which he seemed to think was a song. So obviously he's, we know how gaffeful he can be. And that's, I get it that they would probably not want it to look that way, but man, you can take something bad and turn it into something worse by doing what they do. So.
Well, whatever it is, it was, but yeah, the direct quote was, well, we talked about stability. We talked about the third world. Excuse the southern hemisphere. Yep. Thanks, everybody. I'm gonna and the pony face soldier in the lip. Yep. I'm still here. On another note, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. You can get freeze-dried foods at a huge discount. Again, I've been talking about freeze-dried foods because now we have Harvest Right, which is an awesome deal. But if you don't want to do the work yourself and you just want to get everything just done and ready, this is one of the most affordable resources for freeze-dried food out there. You get a huge bulk amount for a very low price. In fact, again, there's always a great deal on there, but the last one was 25% off on a 3-month plan. They are always doing all sorts of great sales with our code. Our code at any time will get you a huge discount on one of those plans. So make sure to use marfooglenews.com/prep. If you use that link, it will actually automatically get you that discount. Again, you can get food that will last 25 years. It's stored in Mylar bags. Then it is double sealed in buckets. So therefore, you can put it wherever you need it. If you want to store it at your bug out location, or if you want to keep it again in your basement, then go ahead and do that. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, marfooglenews.com/prep. It ends up helping us out with the commission, and it gets you a giant discount. So it is a win-win for everybody. It is a variety. Again, later on we'll talk about harvest rate, but again, I think that if a lot of you just want to get it done, this is the best way to do it. marfooglenews.com/prep. And then UK police nab China spies working in high reaches of government. Is that not the craziest thing ever? It says a parliamentary researcher in the UK who was reportedly arrested on accusations of spying for China claims he is innocent. British police said Saturday that 2 men were arrested under the Official Secrets Act in March, with press reports Sunday identifying one of those arrested as a researcher for members of parliament, according to a report from Bloomberg. It says the man, who is in his 20s and has not been named by police, issued a statement through his law firm denying reports and claiming he is innocent. It says, "It is wrong that I should be obliged to make any form of public comment on this misreporting that has taken place," the man said through his law firm, Burnbig Pierce, who did not name their client. It says, "However, given what was reported, it is vital that it is known that I am completely innocent." The report comes as UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has faced pressure to more aggressively confront Chinese threats to British democracy, including calls to officially designate China as a strategic threat to British interests. Now, I just want to point out, way back in the day, 5-6 years ago when I started this, they actually had they had their prime minister at the time. Was it? No. What was the name? Was it Theresa May? I ended up covering when they ended up changing their focus from terrorists over to China and Russia, and they switched strategically. So I'm surprised that they actually even need to designate China as a strategic threat, but it just shows you how like the semantics and the wording is super powerful when you're talking about this kind of stuff. It says, according to a report from Reuters on Monday, Sunak raised concerns over the potential of China targeting parliament with spies during a meeting with the Chinese Premier Li Qiang at a G20 summit in India. It says Sunak told reporters that he was limited in what he could say about the ongoing spying investigation, but said that he raised, quote, his very strong concerns about any interference in our parliamentary democracy, which is obviously unacceptable. What's crazy is this whole 10 years that we've been talking about Russia and this and that. I think it's pretty clear to see that that China is actually a huge part of everything that is happening. If you actually look at the structure that they have set up with media, with investments, with everything else, I think people have been looking the wrong direction. But again, I guess they're not looking the wrong direction. They're looking at the roundabout. It's like the roundabout circle, and it's this turn when they need to take it a little bit further around to where it actually is. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. So now there's apparent news of spying in Parliament and things like this. This is the kind of stuff you see before it pops off. And then Dex, do you want to go to the sheriff in New Mexico's most populous country?
Well, if you guys didn't hear what was going down in Albuquerque, it's going to upset you if you did. But I can't imagine most of you probably did hear what the governor did there. So the other day, right before the weekend, the governor decided to use a health issue to not allow the carrying of bang bangs anymore in the Albuquerque area, basically taking away all the rights that the 2A provides in that region because of crime at the time. Now, she also knew that that was going to give her a lot of pushback legally, and it is, but that's a huge, we've never seen anybody actually make such a large type of restriction like that. And I'm trying to be careful with the words I'm using here. But anyway, she did that. Now we're starting to see the fallout as it progressed over the weekend. A lot of people were upset, but not a lot of stuff comes out. Now we actually hear from the sheriff in that town who says, you know what, I'm not going to abide by whatever she wants because it's against the Constitution. Why would I do that? We're supposed to protect the Constitution, not trample all over it. So it's an interesting position, and it's a very interesting use case in the sense that she's trying to take this I guess a health issue and say on this order that she's using to do that. I mean, we've never heard anybody do this before. And if it sticks, that may turn into a bigger problem across, the U.S. if other governors try to do that.
It's like it's a test. It's like it's to see how people responded, right? Did you see? And I don't know if this is real. Dex, can you actually look this up? If I do it, I'll end up taking way too much time. Mr. HOGG. Do you remember that name? Very famous event from Vegas. The kid.
Yes.
Supposedly, he came out up against it and said that that's absurd or something. But I don't know if somebody just screenshotted that and that was real. But just look up his name on Twitter and then regarding this, and you should find what everybody is putting out there. I put it on my Twitter
it's there.
too.
It's in DNYUZ. Yeah, it's there. I've got a link to it.
Is
I'll
that
throw
real?
it on
Can you
Overflow.
find?
Yeah, it looks real.
Oh my
Let's see if
gosh!
there's others.
Are
Yeah,
you kidding me? You are kidding me. So the kid that made a big deal after what? Wait, was it? I don't know if it was it Vegas? It was something, but he was anti bang bang, right? Now he's even saying that the New Mexico thing he's like, but this doesn't exist. He's like, I'm all for safety, but making this into that doesn't exist. And what's crazy is like, if this is, they're wargaming out what our responses are going to be. They know it's 4D chess. They know people are going to go, no, but they're going to do it anyways. Dex, go ahead.
He's one of the survivors from the park.
Yes, that event.
Okay.
Yes, and he is famous for, being absolutely the poster child of anti-everything. And he just recently said it, and I posted and I said, wait, I'm super confused. Even he has a problem with this thing? I mean, that's just wild. I didn't think it was real. I said I was just confused. In fact, that's what I put on my Twitter because I really didn't know what it was. What point are we at when that kid is saying, this is too far? That was the same kid. That was the one video that got me hit way back in the day because I put Fantastic Freddy in the title. And it was the video of him repeating himself. Oh, can I start again? That kind of thing. It was just wild. All right. And then that was a crazy, almost felt like the old Wild West just 5 years ago on YouTube. Back then, there wasn't all this crazy stuff. We've gone through so much crap in the last 5 years. Thank you guys for supporting us. Thank you guys for everybody that has stuck with me ever since. I love you guys. Seriously. And then, let's see here. China sows disinformation about the Hawaii events using new techniques. So the other day, I do want to point out that the other day I said, "Oh yeah, this, I used it in a way of my argument that I think stuff is going on there." But I also saw it a second way after the show. I kind of felt like, man, what if this is actually them? They could take anything and go, "Oh, they did it." Or they're saying it is. Basically, it was the story where they were saying that they were creating memes that were dividing people. And that's exactly my point. That's Genghis Khan style tactics. So I thought, I believed it. I'm like, and I still do believe that they're doing that, right? But they also could target memes. Memes are extremely powerful, especially before that day where we all drop things in a box. In fact, they're so powerful, at one point, all of the platforms could not do anything with them. The computers couldn't register writing over pictures. At one point, they couldn't, or they couldn't do it accurately, right? Now they can. So they can catch memes every day. That they now have put millions or billions of dollars into, being able to read and process memes. We know this even from thumbnails. You can make a thumbnail on this one, and it will literally mark it because of something in the thumbnail. It will show you what writing is there, even if it's tricky or if it's hidden behind things. It can read it. We know this for a fact. But as far as this goes, now they're saying any kind of crazy thing. Oh, now you're spouting China stuff. So I don't know. This could be used multiple ways. Dex, go ahead.
And just another thought, could they use, since they've now made this normal for us to think that China has this million influencer online army, so to speak, they've told us numerous times all these bad things that they do with disinformation. Could they now just label anything they want us to think that's no longer credible as China? Just like they tried to label stuff as Russia. So, on one hand, this could be true that China did this. On the other hand, this could just be normal people saying these things, and they don't want anybody to believe it. So they tell everybody it's China saying it. So then everybody will go, "Oh, well, if it's China, we're not going to believe it."
And the other day, it was Microsoft too. They were both Microsoft says. It says Microsoft and other researchers probably bought by and owned by Microsoft. The same Microsoft where the founder just went and ate dinner with the guy. This is kind of weird. He ate dinner with the guy, with Xi, and even hosted his wife and has done so over years. In fact, the one time that Xi came to Seattle, didn't meet with the president. No, met with Mr. Gates at his house. His wife came, ate dinner at his house. So it's like they're, it's so crazy because all of these things tie back to the same handful of people. And yes, Mr. Billy is no longer technically a part of it, but come on. Do you think he let go of his grip of his baby? No. There's ways that you can do that. You can step away without stepping away. I'm sure Elon stepped down from CEO, but come on. I'm sure he's still able to do whatever the heck he wanted if he wants. So I don't know. I think something's sort of fishy, but this also is a setup for something big to happen, and they go, "Oh, this is that." Keep your eyes peeled, head swiveled. And then Musk Zuckerberg hates. The Titans of Tech will talk at a private capital summit. Ugh, gives me the chills to think about it. Dex, a private summit. So no cameras inside these events. What are they going to talk about? I wonder.
Well, it's the what I guess Schumer is calling the AI Insight Forum. He is bringing them in. It's going to be Zuck, as you said, Gates, Sam Altman.
Why, if he's not a part of
GPT.
what does Gates have to do with it though? That's what I'm saying. What pull does he have now that he's currently not working, unless he is heavily involved in all of this stuff, right? Funding
good
and
point.
all. Yeah.
Good point. And then Elon. And then what's interesting is Elon is enemies with Bill, enemies with Sam. enemies with Zuck, right? He's going to be the odd one there in the sense that he's literally talking to every single one of the people that don't like, because he went off on Gates and he went off in some ways on Sam. And then we all know the whole debacle with him about the cage match that probably won't ever happen with Zuck. So there's that will be interesting. It's unfortunately it's going to be behind closed doors. It'd be really cool if it was like, filmed and we all could see, but this is the start. At least on some level our representatives are talking and hopefully asking the questions and trying to come up with policies and things that we can put in place, regulations really, to prevent the negative things that we all are worried about with AI. I hope it's not too little and too late. But we'll have to, and it may not be anything. It may just be a whole smoke and mirrors to let us think that they're doing something about it. But it is the first meeting, so we'll have to see what comes out of it. But I know AI is near and dear to everyone's hearts here, especially the fears and the things that can come from it. And it's also talked about by these leaders. They all say the sort of the same thing, although I think Microsoft and their investments that are heavily in Sam Altman's company, OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. I think that they're more progressively wanting to move forward, where others are wanting to say, hey, can we put stronger regulations in to stop this from happening?
And it is a private event, but we actually just got a very, very reliable source said that they have pictures of a preview of what's going to happen there. So I'm going to put this up on screen. It's a very, very serious event. Gates, Zuckerberg, Musk, and other tech titans. Here is the very top secret picture. And they're saying, stop the change, the great change. And AI robots went to Dolphins Chargers game and freaked out everyone. So I did post this on my Twitter. There's a video of this if you go over to my Twitter account, and you'll see the Creator movie that's coming out has these drone robot AI people with the big, like, the back of their head is computer, and it's just like a robot, a RoboCop face. And the makeup is pretty realistic. Like, they have these units on their head and they look like robots. Again, I don't think we have.
I think we have pictures in next tab.
Yeah, that's right. So check this out. So creepy. So these are the people, and so I didn't realize that they like sat just like normal people in it too. Like they were just intermingled with people at the crowd. And it's basically a publicity stunt, right? But it's really kind of crazy. This guy must have like a really tiny head, because that looks like a normal size head there. Or he's really a robot. Look at this. Is this not just absolutely disturbing? Very good makeup, by the way. That's insane. Or is it? It could be real. You don't know. That is so freaky. I'm sure that we are going to see some very talented makeup artists do this for Halloween. I guarantee it. That is so absolutely freaky looking. And why do all the people just look like angry? Except for this guy. He looks cool. I could hang out at a barbecue with him. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, before we move on, do want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out Energy if you don't have a backup power source. This is one of the quietest and, again, gray man way to have power. It is a solar generator, so you can get power from the sun. Highly recommend getting yourself some folding panels. But what's really cool about this solar generator is it's expandable and modular. You can add up to 96 batteries, and you can add mods that change the overall performance and the uses. So you can add a UPS mod. They go in basically like bricks. The bricks are like Lego, and they can either change, alter, or expand on the unit. So you can build this up over years. Not to mention, if they come out with new tech, they can literally just put out a brick that changes the technology, and you can add it into the mix. They've made it to where it's going to be something that can change and evolve over time. Right now, you can get a supercharger and you can get a rapid charger with UPS. Those are the two big mods that everybody wants. The supercharger can essentially take in 12 panels instead of the 4. It can expand it per charger, per brick, by 8 panels. So that's huge. That means you could literally cut your charge time in a third. Again, this is a great system too because it is silent. Nobody's going to hear it from 3 blocks away, and it stores that power for when you need it. The new UPS rapid charger, again, that is something that can charge each 1,000 watt hour battery in about 40 minutes. It's insanely fast. You can go at 1,200 watts per hour at that, so it charges it incredibly fast. That way, if you only have a few minutes or if you need to plug in, you can literally charge this thing up and then take it somewhere and use it for whatever you need it. A lot of people use these. I use these for my tools. I can use all of my construction tools. I actually don't think I have any super powerful ones. I've never had any of my tools not be able to run on this. So again, it's a great unit. Even at full power, you're not going to hear it from the next room, let alone 3 blocks away like a regular gas-powered generator. Why being quiet and not being known is important is because if it really does hit the fan, you're not going to be wanting people to know that you have something like this. So again, and you don't have to store fuel, which storing fuel or even attaining fuel, if things really hit the fan, we've seen events where, say, the East Coast pipeline went down. People waited for hours and hours and hours at gas stations. I can only imagine if our grid actually goes down, gas-powered generators will be pretty much useless unless you have a ton of gas or you can find gas. So again, these are going to be really cool. Marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle, not only to help us, but to save yourself money. Again, this is something that when you don't have to have an end-of-the-world situation to use it. You can use it for all sorts of great stuff. If you don't even want to grab an extension cord, sometimes when I don't want to grab an extension cord, I'll just grab this and go outside and be able to use power wherever I need it. All right, and that's marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. All right, and Dex, do you want to talk about MGM cyber attack leaves thousands of guests?
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. So they have over 40. MGM Resorts International has over 48,000 rooms in Vegas along the Strip. So places like Mandalay Bay, the Bellagio, Luxor, MGM Grand, and others. Okay, they have. It's a huge company, and of course, all of it is probably running on the same IT system, as we are now finding out, because all of a sudden they have been hit by a major attack, and they're people that can't even get into their hotel rooms. So the locking systems on the hotel rooms, the reservation systems, even the casino slot machines are now out of order because they're all connected on this network, and this network has been attacked. So this has been going on since Sunday. It's continued into today. And obviously, it's a very big deal. You can imagine thousands and thousands of customers that can't even get into their own hotel room, let alone, maybe can't gamble. But I think it's probably more important that you want to go freshen up, change, get your personal belongings, maybe leave to catch a plane because you're done. I don't know. But imagine not even being able to get into your hotel room because of a cyber attack. So, we talk about these from time to time. Obviously, when things like this hit infrastructure, it's very, it's much more critical. This, at the end of the day, it doesn't seem to be as critical, but it's also pretty darn significant when you look at the size of it, going after one of the largest conglomerates there in Vegas, and being hit and taking down a significant chunk of their capabilities and operations from a technical point of view.
Dex, think about this. This could be an Ocean's 11 type thing. They could hit one of these casinos. They could. I'm sure that if the rooms went down, this went down. Probably the same thing that stops the system from, the systems that watch gamblers and watch if they're cheating. Like, we don't know, but this could have literally been some sort of like Ocean's 11 type thing. because I just wonder, it's Vegas, right? This is a place where millions and millions of dollars seep through hands every single day. And even a few minutes is going to affect it just by millions of dollars. I mean, this is probably just as much money going through as one of our canals that does shipping through the world. Like, that's how much money goes through Vegas. With this down, I just wonder if somebody was able to hack into something, somebody was able to transfer money out or something. Who knows? Maybe we'll never find out. There's still very shady people that run most of the casinos. Most of them started out with the mafia, so we don't know what actually happened here. But I also think this is a great ad for a smart home. This is why everybody's just aching to get themselves a smart home. You need your front door and everything else to be Wi-Fi accessible. One of these days, it's going to get past that point. I just posted on Twitter. I got a replacement license, and it says after March something 2025, this ID is good for domestic travel. So anywhere in the United States, you can hop on a plane with your license, right? But after 2025, you will need to get the real ID. The real ID has a chip in it. So essentially, if you want to travel around the state, if you want to travel by plane anywhere, whether it be to, from Washington to Oregon or Washington to Idaho, you will need a chipped license. Basically, people will go, "Oh, well, you already have a You didn't need a passport to go, to Colorado, right? You didn't need something that had some sort of thing like that before. You could just use your license. After 2025, man, I'm telling you, everything is changing so quick. It doesn't matter if we have a war or a nuke or an asteroid hit. Everything's going to be different, people. And you guys already know. That's why you're prepping. Let's see here. Again, thank you, and thank you, Tyler. Thank you for your support. Renee Alera, thank you, and thank you. Carol, Julie Pilkerton, Jerry Schertz, Nana MT, thank you. Bible Talk 777, and Kay Parker Fraser, thank you. And then thank you all of the top PayPal donors this year: Linda S., Dawn D., Jacqueline L., Dean G., Jeff B., Lisa H., Sheila B., Tony D., and Joanna H. Thank you all for supporting our show, and thank you again for supporting Independent. That is, again, thank you to Linda S., Don D., and Jacqueline L. Again, thank you guys. Appreciate you. And I hope you guys have a blessed day. All right, Dex, let's go over to the web only. There's a lot of crazy stuff. Oh, and hold on. There is one more piece here about Threads. Now, somebody just put out a video about Threads getting axed in less than 6 months. They said basically why they think that Threads is going to be gone within 6 months. But they actually blocked searches related to the CV and the Vs as the cases rised. It said that public health experts denounced the platform's moderation policies, which they say restrict access to critical health information. Threads, which is now Instagram's text-based social platform, Threads last week rolled out its new search function, a crucial step towards the platform's expansion, the one that would give it more parity with X, formerly known as Twitter. Not even 24 hours later, the company was embroiled in controversy when users went to Threads to search for content related to the CV and long CV, and they were met with a blank screen and showed no search results and a pop-up linking to the website of and prevention. Meta acknowledged in a statement to the Washington Post, Threads is intentionally blocking the search terms and said that the other terms are being blocked because the company declined to provide a list of them. A search of posts discovered the words see me and were among all of the blocked words. So it's basically in the same category as like the videos. And what's crazy to me is like, I think that it's just because they're like, oh, well, we're working on that page right now. We're collating what we want it to be, right? Or maybe they go, oh, well, we didn't get the memo yet of what it's going to be. We didn't get the email. Who knows, though? We were waiting for a general email from I think it was a hinton@gmail.com or something like that, and just waiting to find out what they need to do. Dex, do you want to go over the web only? Pretty crazy stuff.
I certainly do. Let's head over to marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show, or open up that show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you to the web page with all of the sources for everything we just covered. Then you'll find this orange bar that says overflow. It's the rest of the story. Of course, the Rezvani tank. If you want to enter, that's your chance. Go there and click on it. It'll take you right there. Lots of things going on. If you haven't heard about the Secret Service agent who is now raising questions about the magic Bang Bang theory for JFK. So this guy he's not on his deathbed, but he's very old, very old. Obviously, he was a Secret Service agent back at that time. He's late 80s, I believe. But he basically came out and said, you know what? We found this this bullet, so to speak, specifically in the car, and I put it on this stretcher because I thought it would be used for evidence. And the location he pulled it from now is basically sort of changing the narrative, or at least people are now questioning, hey, if he actually did what he said he did, it was not possible for it to go down the way they said it went down. So a lot of people are now reopening that rabbit hole. So if you want to check it out, you can go check it out. It's on our website. Interesting article about BRICS and the new world and order of things, as they like to refer to it. And they're suggesting, is it going to be that new one? So go take a look. It's there. Man, some really nasty stuff coming out of Haiti and what they're trying to do, and they're targeting certain youth that have disabilities. I'll leave it at that. It doesn't sound good, but that's there if you want to learn more about it. We also added the hog piece that we were talking about earlier. So if you're looking for that, as Adam was speaking to it earlier in the show, it is here in the overflow section. Talk about airlines. Trudeau got stuck. He's got aircraft issues. He was stuck in in I think it was Delhi. So he was there for the G20 with all the others. So kind of not comical, but it is what it is. His plane's not working, so they're trying to get it working so he can fly home. Some other stuff happening in Africa, if you're interested. The Fukushima dump is now officially done, or at least the first round is complete, they have said. So we have now loaded our Pacific Ocean up with some Fukushima water. If that's a good thing or a bad thing, we'll find out in probably the long term, not the short term. Of course, we got additional updates on NK, all the Russia stuff that's going on with UKR, including some thoughts on what's going on with Russia from Iz. So if you want to learn about that, it's all here on the website. Of course, we've got all the political coverage, not a lot, but some of what's been going down and going on. So if you're curious about that, the prisoner swap $6 billion deal, we've talked about that ad nauseum, but it is officially now done in the sense that the administration agreed to it to unfreeze it. So that has moved forward, and you can learn more about that on our website. Of course, the obligatory Elon stories are here. The Twitter stories are here.
Exactly what I said last week.
Yep.
I swear, it's like people start talking about it, and then it grows. If you guys remember, like 2 nights ago, I said it was like back in a couple days ago, or back when I specifically, if you remember, I was talking about the story with the cave and how he was trying to save the kids. Back then, he was a superhero. Everybody loved him. And I talked about how he was described without mentioning his name 20 years ago in a documentary that was talking about the Antichrist. And I was mentioning just this the other day, and I specifically talked about how he went from a superhero to a supervillain. And then an article comes out 2 days later. I think they may have seen one of our clips or something, because yeah. Well, again, they're basing it off the Walter Isaacson book now, but it's like they just won't stop on the Elon, will they, Dex?
Any chance they get to stick it to them, they will. The media does not. The media has had this love affair with Twitter, and they lost it with Elon. So that was sort of their bread and butter as far as traffic was concerned. And now that they're not getting it, I think it's easy for them to turn on Elon because he didn't do what they wanted him to do. So
he even said he was going to take away the headlines from posts. And I think that was a direct jab back at media because, they do the clickbaity thing like Elon Musk, treated child poorly or something. And, it ends up being like, oh, I won't sign an autograph or something. And they'll like tear him apart for something. But then he was saying that he was going to get rid of the headlines so you would just be able to see a picture. And then they would have to prove that he did that, and they would have to show a picture of Elon doing something like that. I actually realized why he was saying he was going to do that. You would have to prove, instead of the misleading headlines, you would have to use photo evidence of what you were saying. But yeah, it just didn't make too much sense.
Well, you know what they'll do? They'll just start putting the headlines in the picture.
Yep.
Meme style. That's how they'll get
Thumbnail.
around it.
Yeah.
They'll meme style the picture with the headline they want. But and by the way, here's another one. I'll leave you guys with this. It's not all of it. There's a lot on there, so go check it out. Even zombies if you're curious. But if you have high blood pressure or you measure your blood pressure, which I know a lot of us who are over the age of 40 or 50, you start to worry about those types of things. Apparently, we've been doing it all wrong. So if you want to know the right way or why they say it's a different way of doing it, go take a look. It's on the website. I'll give you the hint. You're supposed to be laying down.
I think you just wrecked the whole article.
No. You got to go read it. It's just to understand why. But yes, they're saying no longer sitting. So
I think it's telling too that JB is in Alaska with the troops. I've talked about Alaska recently because Foogle family members that are in the military said that they're moving a ton of stuff to Alaska. I don't think it's a coincidence that he is there right now. Obviously, he's meeting with them, but I wonder what kind of meetings he's having other than that. Alaska is a very strategic and important part right now. And I think... Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, on one hand, you can kind of get it. Like you're in India and then you go to Vietnam and then you go from there on the way back to America or to DC, you stop in Alaska because it's kind of on the way. It's not out of the way, at least. But it's the first president who has not been at one of the sites today on this Memorial Day or Remembrance Day. Every president since it's happened has been at one of the locations, and he's the first one to not.
Yeah. It's getting nuts. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for showing up to the show tonight. Thank you, Dex. Thank you for all your service tonight.
Absolutely. Much love, brother. Great job.
And make sure to thank the mods. Go over to marfooglenews.com/friends. Ilea and, of course, our great mods down there. Thank you, Wages World, Rip Curl Readiness, Trinity. We, of course, have the wonderful RGL, Jammer, Gem, CJ Blaze, Chance Paladin, and Bones. Again, make sure to go check out all of those great mods, including CJ Blaze, over at marfooglenews.com/friends. You can also check out a whole great group of channels. Just hit the subscribe button. It's very easy. Just go click down all the line and subscribe. All right, thank you guys. And again, thank you so much to Renee Alera and Nana MT. Thank you, Julie Pilkerton, Jerry Shirts, and Tyler. Thank you. Renee Alera, thank you for being top supporter tonight. Thank you over on D-Live. Very special thank you to Beer Juice, Alice McGee. Thank you for following. Yobi, Scooby-Doo Do-Right, Poco Loco, Kimbria, Gore Knox. Let's see here. Rizar, thank you for gifting out a badge. Chance, you didn't have to do that. Thank you for helping out the community. Uncle Eddie Johnson. And, of course, we had Badger in the house. We had MC Dirty Work. Thank you. And, again, thank you, Johnson, over on D-Live. Thank you. And thank you, Beer Juice. I believe you were top over there. So thank you so much. Thank you, guys. It's time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro.
It was made of steel and it wasn't supposed to fall. Let's pull it. Let's pull it. Let's pull it. It was made of steel and it wasn't supposed to fall. It was vision, control, demolition. That was a mission, and now they got so much division. It's in the vision. When we back and running now, what we missing? 7, I'm building 7. It fell and it still stricken, never fall. It was vision.
Thank you so much, Renee Alera.
Renee, I'm Renee Alera. Renee, I'm Renee, I'm Renee Alera. Yup, 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 yup. Renee, Renee, Renee Alera.
Thank you, everybody that made it to today's show. Make sure to do a roll call. Meet the people from your state. You don't have to give specifics, but if you say, hey, I'm from Colorado, you end up meeting people from your state. And there's a lot of folks here from all over the place, and you'd be surprised how many people are from your state. Do a quick roll call. Where are we from?
Patrick Bellamar, remember Hillary collapsed in that 9/11 event in the van. Yes, I do. Man, Schaefer girl from Utah and the state Asia. I said, with the butter bomb and WA, Michigan, April sky and the side bend. A Marfoogle burn brilliant, Captain Phil, oh yeah, on feeling on the Emery and the Captain Pat and the XDC and the XDEIDR on Nickel Bucket. Everybody knows the Windy B Bucket. I see the Hansi Hans Driscoll. Wow, Ohio, OH, IO. Alaska, Lisa, forever young in the beat on Boom Man. With the beat man, with a little element in Texas in the house.
All right, let's do a fresh one for Renee Alera. And then Nana MT. Let's see. Let's see. Boom.
ba ba